Oh shit.
Ouch. And just like that, the new KTM 390 Adventure found its way to the ground. It's relatively unharmed. I'm completely unharmed. And it's just the slowest, weirdest things. Certainly every time I go riding, I try to work on or learn something new. Definitely learned when starting out in a rocky area to add maybe a touch more throttle, A, or B, stop so your front tire is not dead up against a rock. So me and a buddy decided to ride up Webster Pass in Colorado from the south side off of Highway 285. It's June 13th, a Sunday, 2021, and I'm a relatively new adventure rider. I've been riding motorcycles off and on my entire life, but the vast majority of the time it's always been on pavement. So switching over to riding on dirt or riding on uneven terrains, for me it's just been a learning curve. In this particular instance, we've decided to ride up Webster Pass from the south to see how far the trail was open, and then also how far we could make it. All right, so getting to the trailhead, off of Highway 285, you're going to turn north at Park County Road 60, or the community of Webster. It's just a little bit west of Grant, Colorado. It starts off mostly as a dirt fire road. Pretty decent condition. You're going to find washboards as you'd expect on any of these roads. Chances are it'll probably be dry and dusty, and depending upon the day of the week, you'll probably run into some RV traffic or a little bit more car traffic or vehicle traffic. Generally traveling at a little bit of a slower pace. You'll encounter some wind, most likely going up through the valley. Here we run right through a dust devil, which was interesting. You get a mouthful of dust there, but for the most part, as you continue to head north, the road subtly changes, just based upon the remoteness of the terrain. There's not a lot of grading that goes on, as you can see. So you'll get a few more little drainage areas through the road, and we're starting to see some larger puddles, dried out puddles here. So certainly during mud season or after a storm, water may collect in some of these areas. You're also going to find, as we travel further north, a little bit rockier terrain. So there will be more exposed rocks. It's going to get a little bit rougher. Still a few campgrounds littered throughout the area. So I think the first campground's Handcart Campground, followed by Hall Valley, and then Gibson. But there are dispersed camping spots throughout the area as well. Keeping in mind that we're sort of paralleling the North Fork of the South Platte River. Although higher up, you'll see that the water quality doesn't look great. There's a lot of mine tailings that are most likely contaminating that water source. Here we're just trying to kind of pick some lines, maybe find just a little bit of a smoother area. We're coming up to what I would consider kind of the start of the trailhead. Stopped here to survey a little bit. This is kind of the start of the trail, so we just wanted to get a reading on where we needed to go, how the train looked. There was a Tacoma coming through. They were taking their time picking a line, but on two-wheeled vehicles, you'll find that the line's pretty straightforward. A little bump here or there. You can see a lot more rocks in the road surface now. Every once in a while, I see more of a buried, I hate to say boulder, but a larger rock in there. Some pretty aspen trees to go through. I think we stopped to air down, and I'm running around 22, 23 PSI front and rear. and I've got some Bridgestone Battlax AX41s, which in my limited knowledge seem to do pretty well. And this is, at this point, certainly the most aggressive trail I've been on. I've been trying to broaden my experience level on fire roads, but that only goes so far. Here we're stopping at kind of the beginning of the Webster Pass trail and where it separates from Red Cone. And this is the side of my little spill. So my front wheel's definitely wedged up against something enough to where all of my forward momentum stops. I lose my balance. Over goes the bike. Walk over, kill it, and then my buddy comes back to help me pick it up. So kind of an uphill pickup. Decided that it would probably be smart to have both of us lift the bike up. It doesn't weigh a ridiculous amount, and the panniers weren't full or anything like that. Did break a few components there, namely the the OEM handguard protectors, which are primarily plastic, and then my clutch lever.
Yeah, I think, it fell downhill, so it was very much I was able to bail in time though, and as I'm falling, I was just like, I'm glad I got my moto boots on. Yep. Do you want to try grabbing the grab handle and I'll... Yep, one. Yeah, that's quite a bit easier. Okay, I'm gonna go forward just a little bit.
Here, just moving it up, trying to avoid that same spot, and I see. Oh yeah, we have some damage here. Clutch lever, the OEM handguard protector. I had printed out a 3D printed replacement for the left side passenger foot peg, where I would from time to time mount a GoPro, and I had thought I had fared pretty well with that. So there I'm picking up all my garbage, everything I left on the side of the trail there. Leave no trace. So we'll grab that stuff. Not exactly sure what to do. Is there anything else to check? And oh no, that didn't quite make it. I mean, literally the second I touched it, it broke off. So I'm gonna clean that up, drop it in a bag, cut off the safety strap here, and then we'll be on our way.
They're not real bark busters. Yeah. No, they're, I would say, more of a wind guard.
If anybody's interested in printing out their own replacement rear foot peg, let me know and I'll throw the model up on Thingiverse. And as we continued further up, starting to see a little bit of runoff. So we're going to encounter a little bit more water. It wasn't terrible at this point. Always kind of keeping an eye out for downhill traffic. The road is decidedly more rocky now. So picking a line through does seem to make a little bit of a difference. And I'm going to pull off here shortly and let my buddy through. He's on a little bit more of an aggressive bike, I think a 500 EXF KTM, a touch more travel, maybe just I hate to say a better tool for the job because I just don't know. I'm certainly enjoying my 390 adventure. And we were using helmet comms, so you'll hear faintly one side of the conversation. It's a bit of a pain to try and record both sides, so I've got one side playing faintly here, but it's nice to be able to call out obstacles and lines a little bit that way, and just overall for chit chat. It's great.
Roger. Okay. Oh, I see what you're talking about. All right. You were shredding that hard, dude?
Yeah, as I take off here, I tried to make sure that I had plenty of RPMs to overcome any unforeseen obstacles. We're just kind of cruising up a continuation of the lower down trail. One thing that, looking back, I do kind of appreciate is how the trail progressed pretty linearly from top to bottom. So you end up with a little bit more rocks, and then a little bit more rocks, and then as you'll see in a little bit more water, and then a little bit more water. It didn't feel like you encountered a huge primary obstacle that you had to focus on so much early on, which is pretty nice. Definitely spending a lot of time standing up on the pegs. I did change out or swap out the pegs for the Black Dog CycleWorks KTM 390 pegs, which, I mean, it's my only set of alternate pegs, but they made a pretty substantial difference. The purchase area was a lot larger. They are a little bit lower, but it was much easier to feel more confident on the bike. And coming from a novice, it was one of those upgrades that I could really feel that I was able to take advantage of. In addition to that, I did throw in I think about a 20 millimeter spacer up front to raise the bars up a little bit. Kind of the same purpose. I feel like that made a little bit less of a difference than the pegs. The pegs were a pretty obvious upgrade. Really trying to work on cornering while standing up and kind of weighting and torquing that outside leg, twisting it, kind of getting your knee into the bike. A lot of stuff to practice that as you read and watch material on, it's pretty elementary until you get out in the field, and then it's oh yeah, what was that? How do I do this? Am I doing it right? I don't know. Who knows? But this is definitely something to continually practice while riding, standing up, at least for me.
Fun bars. Ooh. That would suck. No kidding.
Here we're coming into what appears to be kind of like an old remnant of a mining encampment. So you just kind of assume anything around there, at least from a water perspective, probably has some heavy minerals or metals in the water, a lot of mine tailings. So not something I'd necessarily want to dip into, even with a life straw. I guess I'd have to double check on whether or not a filter would filter out heavy metals or not. So we were just trying to figure out, do we want to stop there? Do we want to play around? Want to keep going? You can see here we're getting into some chunkier terrain, a little bit more water, not a lot, but we're continuing to travel northbound.
I'd be lying if I didn't say that when I put down the bike, that wasn't sitting in the back of my mind, but it's so far so good.
One of the things I commenting to myself and my buddy that wiping out, even with just a tip over, I shouldn't say a wipeout. I mean, I just started to go and kind of fell over. It sits in the back of my mind. Definitely a confidence shaker. Puts my nerves on end a little bit. So you're constantly thinking about that. On the 390, I'm running in off-road mode for ABS. And then I have traction control turned off as well. And I'll go back and forth on that one. Most of the time, if the terrain gets a little chunky or a little washboardy, I'll turn the traction control off. Here you can see we're running into, again, a bit more water. So at this point, there's enough runoff to where it's turned the roadway into not really a stream, but you're definitely going up traffic, up river, if you will. I expected the rocks to be a bit more slippery. They weren't decent still. There you can see I'm commenting how I probably on the wrong side. Could have been on the right side and got out of the water, but what do you do?
Oh man, I wouldn't, dude. I would, yeah. I'm going a bit slower. I think the left-hand side might be a little bit less rocky, but
terrain's continuing to get just a touch more chunky. We're going to start to encounter a little bit more loose gravel, loose baby head type stuff, which you can feel. I mean, the bike's just swimming under you, so you're kind of just sort of trying to cooperate with the bike and let it do its thing while you basically aim it where you want to go. It's about the best way that I can describe that sensation. Again, I'm an absolute novice, so that's just the process that I was using to sort of deal with this particular surface. Here we're starting to get out of the trees just a little bit, and you can see a pretty large embankment on the right, and again a bit more water. I'm not excited about this at this point. I started to get a little tired from all the standing, my lower back, the work that is involved. So it's like, okay, I'm getting a little tired, and I think at some point I turned off my bike, and that resets traction control. So it doesn't occur to me to check that at all, and I'm standing up so I can't see the traction control light flashing. That's when my buddy kind of reminds me, hey, is it your traction control? Could it be? And yeah, did in fact turn out to be that.
Well, things are going all right. Boy, it's like as soon as I stand up, it's definitely like it's having yeah, I'm gonna pull over for a second.
Yeah, starting to get a little bit more snow. Not a ton of mud. You know, it's just maybe a little bit of a top layer. It didn't feel too snotty or greasy at all. This particular stream crossing I've seen pictures of when it's running a little bit higher and can be a bit deeper. This is pretty straightforward there. Again, more baby heads, more loose material to ride on.
Good call, man. Good call. Yep. Okay. Good call, thank you.
We're starting to get a little higher up, and I'd got a call out from my buddy that, hey, take the left line, the right line's a little bumpy. So I cruising up the left side, again, a little bit more water, but you'll notice that we're definitely beginning part of the area with switchbacks. A lot of baby heads here, and it's just, I don't want to say fighting the bike, but just letting it do its thing and kind of aiming it sort of up trail, if you will. And we're getting up to about the tippy top. There's a bit of snow here, and did make it through that, at least going up unscathed. Here you'll notice that just shortly after we met up, we encountered this Jeep that had attempted to navigate part of the snow field on the left, a little snowbank, without a shovel. It looked like they were working their way around it and then just ended up slipping off the trail. I can only imagine the pucker factor on that particular maneuver. So we felt that we had made it about as far as we wanted to make it. I certainly didn't enjoy the odds of passing the Jeep and inadvertently touching it, moving it, and then having that thing tumble down the hill. That wouldn't have been great for anybody. So we figured, hey, you know what? We'll stop here. We'll have some jerky. We'll break the drone out. We'll fly around a little bit. You can see a few different pictures of the Jeep and how it was just hanging there. Not a terrible spot though. Pretty great day, all things considered. It's always fun to get somewhere where there really isn't anybody else and then have a spot to eat. Now we're on our way back down, and I inadvertently forgot to turn my GoPro on. So I didn't get my second spill when I was coming through the reverse direction in the snowfield. Dropped the bike again, and at this point my nerves are shot. I'm frazzled, tired, and pretty nervous, especially going down this. I definitely enjoy going uphill a bit more than going downhill, and I was not looking forward to this descent. It really turned out to be a non-issue, as with most things, right? We build them up, and until we get a chance to experience it, it's the unknown. But yeah, the descent was fine, really coming down, and pretty uneventful. Thanks for watching.